Guys, it is officially confirmed the Sagas from the movie campaign is starting on Dragon Ball Legends tomorrow, and we already have a teaser for what the next announcement is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments down below what you guys are excited about. If you're excited about this, if you're going to continue waiting and skipping blah 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 until Legends Festival in a couple of months. And here we go. Wow, Gogeta and Janemba. You know, a certain YouTuber whose name rhymes with Shmee Tree put up a video the other day with predictions and said, hey, Ultra Janemba, Super Gogeta LF. That's not completely confirmed because we don't know the rarities yet, but, you know, y'all sleeping when y'all should be awake because the video, it was here. So yeah, not surprised, but I think it's about time. If I'm being honest, I think it's about time. We haven't had these characters in a long time. If you watch the other video, again, if you weren't sleeping on it, one of the main things I talked about in that video is that, hey, Gogeta, the regular just Super Gogeta, typically does, for one, he doesn't have a ton of releases anyway, but when they do typically release him, it's not always like the biggest, you know, craziest timing or whatever, stuff like that. I'll never forget how they just kind of dropped that green Gogeta. I don't know if there was some sort of celebration tied to it, but I can't remember it. They just kind of dropped that green Gogeta, right? And it just wasn't a big deal. But anyway, Gogeta never really is like, that Super Gogeta is never really like anything crazy, or at least, I mean, he only has a couple iterations, so I guess it kind of is what it is. So anyway, the point is, we had an Ultra Super Gogeta, but we don't have an LF. There's no LF Gogeta from that movie. So obvious that that was something that's going to be high on the list. And it's even more sad. It's even more sad when you pull up Janemba and you see this nonsense. So like, I mean, if you were going to tell me they're going to make Sagas for the movie's characters, there's still a lot of stuff they haven't done, but I mean, they've done a lot of stuff. So it almost feels like they've just danced around those characters, and they're actually popular characters, unlike Willow and Garlic Jr., who also are characters they've purposely danced around, right? Shout out to Willow. So yeah, yeah, it was. I feel like it was kind of obvious, but on the surface, what does this mean for several teams? Now, stock watch is super high for the Gogeta character. Part of the reason why Gogeta's stock watch is going to be super duper high is because, for one, he's going to be buffing a ton of teams. He's going to be on Saiyans, he's going to be on movies, he's going to be on Fusion Warrior as well. So the too early prediction for end of the year is that we are either going to get Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I also wouldn't be surprised if they actually gave us a playable Shallot. I wouldn't be surprised at that. But again, way too early predictions. That could be for anniversary or something. But I mean, odds are high we at least get Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta as an Ultra for Legends Festival. And if that's the case, we're going to see stuff like Fusion Warrior buffs, which are starting now, clearly. And we'll also see GT stuff pop up relatively soon. So stock watch is very high for this Gogeta. And Janemba, I'm assuming Janemba is going to be the Ultra, by the way, because that just makes more sense to me than the LF, considering we already have an Ultra for this guy. So I think that's pretty straightforward, right? Anyway. So Janemba also has pretty high stock watch too, being on Powerful Opponent and Regen, which is just, Regen is really just Powerful Opponent 1.0, but anyway, moving on. We have Regen, Powerful Opponent, and movies as well, so stock is super high. And one thing about that damn movies tag, if they get the chance to buff movies, they are going to do it. And seriously, because movies, when you realize that movies is the only team this applies to, it's actually pretty interesting, and it's easy to understand why, but movies is the only team that isn't restricted the same way all the other ones are. Look at this cast of characters. This is no different than if they had like a Dragon Ball Z tag and you had every character from Dragon Ball Z in it. This is no different than that because they're just pulling from every single movie ever made, and movies as a result has a ton of content. You basically have the most content available to you right here with as little bleed through in terms of like rehashing stuff like the Future Saga, which gets freaking hoard out in this game and just completely redone over and over and over. So movies is always going to be getting constant stuff. So like, yeah, it's not really a surprise. We've technically been getting movie stuff for a while anyway. So yeah. But nonetheless, what do you guys think about this? Are you excited about this? And this is an interesting thing. I think I saw Libra was kind of like upset about this. He didn't want movie stuff, but like, if you're a movie main, I understand it, but I also kind of don't, because I think you kind of know what you signed up for, right? Like I said, movies is like there are several teams like Fusion Warriors, Saiyan, obviously, that they're always going to go back to, but like movies is at the top of the list. It's unlike GT that gets like 3 units a year. Movies gets a bunch of characters sprinkled throughout the year, so they're never like really irrelevant, right? So it is what it is. But are you guys excited about this? And now, like I said, Legends Festival is in about a month and 3 weeks. So you could easily skip this and go from there. I saw some comments asking about part 2. I am assuming there won't be a part 2. In fact, I actually really hope that there is no part 2 for this. I don't want to see a part 2 for this. I guess you could technically say when the Janemba pops up in a couple of weeks, that's part 2, but you get my point. I don't want to see some long drawn out celebration, because what would happen is it would take us until like the middle of next month, and then there would be like a week reprieve, and then we're into Legends Festival basically with like Black Friday and stuff, when typically before those big banners pop up, we have at least a couple of weeks to recuperate some CC and stuff. Like, I don't really want to see that, especially because your boy don't be wailing on the game anymore. I may break out the credit card a little bit for this stuff, just because I think this is pretty hype. And like I said, we haven't had this stuff in a long time. I mean, we've had Gogeta, but even that Gogeta is like pretty old, the Ultra one. So yeah, and also obviously it's not the same if we get Dragon Ball Super Broly Super Saiyan Gogeta. It's not exactly the same, but damn, Janemba's been completely just irrelevant. This is our latest Janemba in the game, and he popped up years ago, so it is what it is. All right guys, I'm out. I'm gonna go to sleep, and yeah, this stuff will be most likely announced tomorrow, and I don't know if they'll have a reveals and stuff, or if they're gonna do the Twitter reveal thing that they've been doing a lot lately, but we're gonna get the data download tomorrow, and then we'll also see the actual stuff start pushing through for tomorrow night as well, this time tomorrow. So all right guys, I'll see you later.